Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. If you are standing, please take a seat. Given what we just witnessed at the Mubadala Abu Dhabi Open, you may want to hold on to something if you're seated. Sports headline. There is an earthquake. From Moscow to Manila, from the icy steppes to the spotless Russian courts in the United Arab Emirates, the women's tennis world is experiencing a tectonic shift. We are talking about an outcome that defies reason, the odds makers, and the WTA Tour hierarchy itself. Based on the game's graphics, we could easily determine the Titans' trajectory as we entered this event. We saw Elena Rybakina, the third-ranked player in the world, the ice queen of the court, and a formidable force. A player whose serve is often described as a lethal weapon. In Moscow, Rybakina, who was born in Kazakhstan but represents all of the Russian-speaking tennis community, was gazing at this player. Was the overwhelming, obvious favorite going into the Abu Dhabi center court. She has achieved a Grand Slam victory. On the hard court, she is an expert. She is a player who deals with pressure every day. Alexandra Eala, the underdog, the wild card, and the pride of the Philippines, was also on the other side of the net. It's a talent to see, a rising star, in fact. But what does number 3 have in terms of shot weight and velocity when compared to Rybakina? The analysts gave her a puncher's chance, at best. It was supposed to be ordinary. Rybakina's victory in straight sets was a prelude to another championship. But, my friends, sports aren't played on paper. It is played on concrete and grass. Clay, as well as the severe hard courts of Abu Dhabi. It was carried out in the heart. The United Arab Emirates is now the source of breaking news. The world of tennis has completely changed. In what is thought to be one of the most demanding, exciting, and technically difficult games this year, Alexandra Eala has achieved the unthinkable. She engaged Elena Rybakina in a fight that not only tested but also exceeded the bounds of physical stamina. The title of this section is to suggest that Russia was taken aback is not hyperbole. Social media platforms are completely broken in the Russian tennis scene. The comment boards are on fire. The pundits are at a loss for words. Why? The player, who usually controls every point with brutal efficiency, faced resistance because of Elena Rybakina. The myth around the elite level of women's tennis was shattered by how hard, strategic, and relentless it was. Instead of just an upset, this was a live broadcast of a revolution. Coaches will look at the collision of styles we witnessed for many years to come. Rybakina's flat, swift, oppressive ballistic assault was on one side. Conversely, Eala's skill, persistence, and unbeatable counterpunching. We saw rallies that lasted longer than 20 to 30 shots. While clocking in at numbers that shouldn't be returnable, we saw serve speeds that were returned with interest. We saw a tiebreak that appeared to stretch on forever, with every point serving as both a game of chance and a tiny drama. Graphite and yellow fluff are out. But why is the shock so strong? This is due to the manner in which the fight was fought. Rybakina's performance was not subpar. I want to be really clear about that. It wasn't a scenario when the favorite faltered or lost the match due to unintentional errors. No, Rybakina started the fire. She delivered the powerful aces and forehands. And Eala absorbed it all. She expertly redirected the power of a Grand Slam winner. Her position. The consequences of this struggle are huge. Rybakina starts to question her vulnerability against a new group of crafty left-handers. Despite Rybakina's flag, the Russian tennis community still views her as one of their own. It is a realization that the hierarchy is weaker than it seems. And Alexandra Eala's moment has come. This is the arrival. This is the signal for the child to go into the locker room, take off her gloves, and get ready to go hunting the biggest animals on the safari. We'll break this down frame by frame. We'll look at the shot geometry, the psychology, and the key moments when the momentum changed like a hurricane's pendulum. We'll discuss the explosive nature of the confrontation, the stare-downs, the tactical shifts, and the audience that went from polite applause to loud, noisy yelling as they realized they were witnessing history. Prepare to explore the anatomy of a miracle. It is not merely a match report. This is a forensic investigation into the process of creating a massive shudder. This is Alexandra Eala versus Elena Rybakina. The Abu Dhabi Open is taking place. I'll give you a headline and a few key news items. This is the story that is very shocking. Kindly compose a thorough, highly polished news script for YouTube that contains the main body of the script. Let's move on to the detailed analysis now. The levels of this interaction must be eliminated. First, we need to understand the volatile elements that were mixed together in the crucible of center in order to understand the explosion court. Let's set the scenario for David versus the Ice Queen, the pre-match narrative. Context is important here. Elena Rybakina wasn't just a competitor when she arrived in Abu Dhabi. She was the woman to beat. Up until now, the hard court season she led had been nothing short of legendary. You are witnessing the pinnacle of first-strike tennis when you watch Rybakina play. Her serve is one of the most dominant in WDA history, according to statistics. The speed, which often approaches 120 miles per hour, is just as critical as the placement. She hits various sniper targets with accuracy. She usually has a simple plan. Serve big, point over, crush the forehand, and get a quick return. It is effective, forceful, and menacing. Due to statistical probability rather than malice, the match was almost dismissed in the discussion that preceded it in Kazakhstani and Russian media. The headlines centered on Rybakina's opponent in the title game or semifinals. Eala's match was considered a formality, an addition to the schedule. The entire Russia-shocked mentality stems from this hubris. Unbeatable strength was assumed in general. Alexandra Eala enters. There has been a strong Filipino phenomenon. We know her story. The transition to the Pro Tour is very different from the Junior Grand Slam triumphs and the Rafa Nadal Academy training. Being a lefty gives Eala an innate tactical advantage, particularly when it comes to the ad-court serve, when she can lure right-handers out wide. Her game, in contrast to Rybakina's, is centered around movement, anticipation, and bludgeoning force, and a strong, spin-loaded forehand that may disrupt the rhythm of flat hitters. On paper, there was a physical disparity. Eala is ruled by Rybakina. The difference between wingspan and leverage. It was stark. Eala would be blown off the court, he said, when the commentators looked into this. She is powerless to make Rybakina back off. How wrong they were. The ambush in the first two games, everything went according to plan. Rybakina was a loving servant. Boom, boom, boom. The sound of the ball hitting the backboard echoed like a gunshot. It seemed ominous. However, Eala served. At this moment, reality's first crack emerged. Instead of trying to keep up with Rybakina, Eala slowed down. She used the slice. She used the lefty slider a lot. Rybakina was forced to stoop by her. Eala held the shock as Rybakina cruised at 3-3, using knees to advance and hit balls from strange heights. After making two uncommon errors instead of two forced ones, Eala unexpectedly found herself behind 0-30 on serve. Had stopped Rybakina's second serve, which was usually a strong kick. The giant lost time when Eala grabbed the ball as it was rising. She sent a backhand down the line, surprising Rybakina. The stadium went quiet. As they stopped, the commentary crews from Russia pens were most likely hovering over their notebooks. Rybakina saved the breakpoints with aces in keeping with her champion mindset. But the seed was planted. In addition to survival, Eala was hunting. The tiebreak in the opening set was the first intense moment. It was more than a point exchange, as the headline suggests. The battle was attrition-based. Rybakina would travel 100 miles. Eala would miraculously float a deep defense while scuttling like a crazy woman with a forehand into the corner at a speed of 1 hour. Returning the law to the baseline will reset the point. Eala prevailed 7-6 in the first set. The stadium's reaction was a mix of exhilarating excitement and confusion. The shock was being registered by it. In a recent tiebreak versus the third-ranked player in the world, a wild card had snatched a start when she was outgunned but not outthought. Lefty spin against flat power. Let's look at the technical issue that caused this interruption. Why was Rybakina experiencing difficulties? Why is the Russian tennis community so perplexed? Rybakina's passion is rhythm. Because she likes the ball to come to her swiftly, she can alter its pace. It's fundamental physics. If you time it correctly, The rebound will happen more quickly as the ball gets closer. Eala refused to let her go at that speed. Eala showed the highest regard for what we call trash. Doable. Her strong topspin loops, which varied in height and spin, bounced well above Rybakina's shoulder, causing the tall Kazakh player to smash down, boosting the chance of finding the net. Eala would then slide one low and flatten it out on the next shot. This continuous disruption of the impact zone produced the explosion. The Rybakina racket committed inadvertent errors. You could see the irritation mounting.